Am I annoyed at the interview that Lucas Paqueta did for Brazilian TV on Wednesday? Am I annoyed, angry, upset, bewildered? No, not really, because it's quite interesting that if anybody saw the interview and saw the translation of it, Lucas Paqueta was quite respectful. He revealed during the interview of the backing of special manager David Moyes, who has helped him to cope with the betting scandal that has led to the collapse of his £80 million move to Manchester City last summer. Paqueta is the subject, as we all know, of a 7-month-long so far FA probe investigation into suspicious betting patterns surrounding 3 yellow cards that he received last year for West Ham United. It resulted in Lucas Paqueta losing his place in the Brazilian squad. But under new manager Dorival Jr., he's making his return to the Brazil team against England this Saturday at Wembley. And Paqueta, he thanked David Moyes for his support throughout by saying, I don't think West Ham did anything different from what they should have done. My relationship with the manager is very good. We talked about the situation. He said he wanted me playing for the team. I think it's important because I've grown this season and I've got better and better. My evolution was important from last season to this one. Without a shadow of a doubt, the support David Moyes has given me has helped me to leave all this behind about the betting scandal. It was essential and he was special for me. And he went on to say, for anyone starting to play in the Premier League, it's complicated. It's hard. It's a very special competition. West Ham helped me a lot to get used to the Premier League standards. I think this season I've played better than before, and my performances are better than last season. And with the help of my teammates and the coaches, I have shown my best on the field of play. Now, it was revealed last summer that the FA were looking into the suspicious bets placed by bookmakers in Brazil, allegedly tracked back to Paqueta Island in Guanabara Bay, where Paqueta grew up. There's a belief, they are believed to focus on bookings that he received against Bournemouth in the opening day of last season, against Aston Villa in March, and against Leeds United last May. Paqueta said, I was told not to comment on this subject in front of a packed Brazilian conference on not Wednesday, but Tuesday. It's been 7 months since it happened, and I'm cooperating, doing what's in my power so that it can all be resolved. He went on to say, I try not to let outside analysis get in the way of what I do on the field. Any criticism that I get, I must not pay attention to much. I must step aside and train hard and take care of myself. When I'm on the field, I forget everything and I just think about playing football and forget what happens. Inevitably, as was expected, transfer questions were bound to be asked, and Paqueta was put in a tricky situation when asked about interest from Manchester City. However, his response was very respectful, to say the least. He said, I've a lot of respect for my club, which is West Ham. I've been having a very good season, and that has helped me a lot in my evolution in the Premier League. So I think that out of respect for West Ham United, I have to stay focused on my duty at West Ham and keep working. Does anyone recall the interview that Declan Rice did during the World Cup a year or so ago, when he was asked a similar question about transfers during an England press conference, and all he talked about was his desire to play Champions League football, play at the highest level, which everybody interpreted as "come and get me," by the end of that particular season. So what a difference it makes, what a refreshing difference it makes to have a player. Of course, we know he's going to leave at the end of this season, but how refreshing it is for Paqueta to deflect from that and not talk about that. There was an opportunity for Paqueta to maybe show his intent, but it's not really what players should be doing in public. And it is important to be respectful of the club that you represent, even if you know that you're likely to be leaving in the near future. His comments indicate a level of professionalism and suggests he's very much focused on the job at hand right now. Now, we all know that Paqueta's move to Man City broke down, as I've said, because of the revelations about the betting scandal. But Pep Guardiola is understood to still be happy to wait for the central midfielder, who he sees as a long-term replacement for Bernardo Silva. There's obviously frustration from Manchester City at how long the investigation continues to drag on. And with an £86 million release clause believed to kick in this summer, all parties will probably want to ensure that this investigation doesn't drag into next summer's transfer window. A similar investigation in former midfielder Granit Xhaka took something like 17 months to conclude. So I think there's going to be an awful lot of frustration around if this investigation drags on. And as I mentioned in a video I did some weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago, the players' agents would be ready to maybe challenge the FA if charges are either not made or are not dropped by the summer transfer window. When he was recently injured, we know how important Paqueta is to West Ham United. He has had a very, very decent season, because when he was recently injured, we failed to win any of the 7 Premier League games that Paqueta had missed. As for what holds this in this summer's transfer window, I guess we're all aware that he is definitely going to leave. And the release clause of £86 million that I mentioned is testament to maybe finally West Ham United being savvy in when they sign players, because how much money have we lost in player purchases and player sales over the years? And now the £86 million, if it does happen, could go an awful long way to reinvesting money back into the squad in order to replace Paqueta. I think £86 million is very likely to buy us 2 very good midfielders, or at least a midfielder playing out on the left side of attack, and also a striker who we desperately need. And what about replacing Paqueta himself? What I think, and I've mentioned before, that the player most likely to play in Paqueta's role in the middle of the park is going to be Mohammed Kudus. Kudus said in a recent interview that his preferred option would be to play as a kind of a number 10 just behind a striker. So we may already have a ready-made replacement for Paqueta in the squad itself, but of course we need strengthening in other areas. And £86 million going towards a left-sided attacking winger and also a striker would be very good money spent. Of course, we don't want Paqueta to go. It would be better to have him at West Ham United. Who's to say what would happen by the end of this season? If we get back into Europe again, if something crazy like us winning the Europa League and getting into the Champions League maybe might keep him here a bit longer, we don't know. Just briefly on Kudus as well, because we heard that he withdrew from the squad, the Ghanaian squad, for the upcoming friendlies. There's a lot of confusion as to why he's been taken out of the squad. One suggestion is that he's injured his knee during training for Ghana. And another suggestion is that he's hurt his shoulder. So we don't know as yet. We're going to find out more information when we can about that. And when we do, I'll let you know. But, from what we've seen and what we've heard of Paqueta, much respect to him. He respects West Ham United enough to not talk about his ambitions going forward into the future. And I think that bodes well, because it demonstrates that he is fully focused on what happens with West Ham for the remaining part of this season. Join me again for more news updates as they come along. If you're new to the channel, do please hit the like button and the subscribe button and the bell notification to let you know when the next show is on. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.